Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Let's dive right into something really fascinating today. We're unpacking a truly thought-provoking piece of poetry and societal critique called Musings, Lost in the Crowd by Oluyomi Ola-David. Now, I want to be clear right up front. This isn't just a simple poem we're looking at. It's actually a brilliant structural breakdown of society, kind of a mirror showing us the hidden roles we all play every single day without even realizing it.
Listen to this for a second, just to see the immediate paradox she sets up. Truly short, lounging in the tree, the rich could afford just a meager catch. Really think about that imagery. The rich are lounging up high, totally comfortable in an elevated position, right? And yet, despite all that status, all they can actually afford in this context is a meager catch. She hooks us right away by emphasizing this incredible tension, the idea of feeling limited or crushed or totally lost, even if you supposedly hold a successful place in the grand scheme of society. Section 1. The paradox of the crowd. Contradictory roles. And that paradox, she illustrates it brilliantly right out of the gate. Take a look at these opening lines. Truly crushed, riding in the wagon. The lizard could afford just a few nods. It's such a specific, almost weirdly striking image, isn't it? The lizard is being carried along in a wagon, supposedly moving forward in life, but its actual agency is reduced to just nodding, just kind of vibing in the back while completely trapped in the motion of the ride. She forces us to question how each entity in her poem, and frankly, each of us in our own lives, is surprisingly boxed in by our specific, seemingly normal circumstances. The wagon is moving, for sure, but the passenger is completely trapped. Section 2. Contrasts in society, grouping and isolation. So she starts mapping out this landscape with some really severe societal divides. On one side, we have the rich, lounging in the tree, a meager catch. On the other side, the peasant, swimming in the debt, a patient wait. This severely intense contrast visually reinforces the divide she's communicating. She's literally placing the physical safety and elevation of a tree directly against the drowning, suffocating sensation of swimming in debt. But do you notice the similarity there? They are both stuck. The economic contrasts she beautifully illustrates basically show us that no matter your financial bracket, the crowd dictates your specific limitations. And she keeps this pattern going. The beggar is sitting in the street, just a few cries. Contrast that with the heir, gliding in the status, just a ready burden. Now, normally we think of an heir as having absolute freedom and power, right? But she defines the heir's privilege not as freedom at all, but as a ready burden. She's explaining how even the most highly privileged positions carry their own prescribed, unavoidable weights. Society, the crowd, expects the cries from the beggar, and it absolutely demands the burden from the heir. Section 3. The visionary behind the words.
Now, who actually wrote this? It's so crucial to realize that Oluyomi Ola-David isn't just a poet writing abstract thoughts in a vacuum. She's a recognized leader, a serious policy influencer, and a visionary on a mission. Knowing this broader context completely elevates how we read her words.
Oluyomi is a Nigerian who just deeply, profoundly loves people. She's actively concerned with global transformation and actually spends her professional time influencing real-world policy and strategy. On top of that, she's driven by a very deep faith, beautifully describing God as the wheel within my wheels. So why does all this background matter for our explainer today? Because her intense focus on global development is exactly what informs these societal critiques hidden inside her poetry. She isn't just passively watching the crowd, she's actively analyzing its structural flaws to find a genuine path to transformation. Section 4. The psychology of the herd. Behavioral critiques. Here is where it gets really interesting. At the very bottom of her original post for this poem, she actually tagged the phrase herd behavior. What is that exactly? Well, it's when individuals act collectively without any centralized direction, often just blindly following the societal roles prescribed to them. When we apply this psychological lens to her work, the rich, the peasant, the lizard, the beggar, they all completely reframe. They aren't just simple characters anymore. They become behavioral critiques. They all seem to blindly follow their societal scripts without ever stopping to question them. Next up, she tagged the bandwagon effect. This is basically the tendency of individuals to adopt a certain style, behavior, or attitude simply because, well, everyone else is doing it. By explicitly linking this psychological concept to her poem, she is framing her words as a really sharp critique of conformity. She is pointing out how individuals conform to the crowd, quietly accepting their meager catch or their patient wait, rather than taking the scary risk of forging their own independent identities. And her final tag, intervening variables. I want you to think of a book literally opening up to reveal whole mountains, trees, and a house inside. In research, intervening variables are the hidden internal factors that explain the connection between other things. She's inviting us to literally open the book on our own lives. She wants us to uncover and understand the deeper, unseen variables that actually shape our societal roles. We aren't just random characters in a crowd. There are massive underlying psychological and societal forces at play, and we absolutely have to become aware of them.
Section 5, Finding Your Own Path. Reflect on your position.
Now, it's not all bleak. Amidst all the crushed, weak imagery earlier in the poem, she actually gives us these incredible glimpses of hope. First, we have the simple. Thriving in the present, the simple could afford just a clear vision. And second, we have the fish. Living in the dream, the fish could afford just a wise coin. These stanzas are entirely different in tone, aren't they? The simple actually have clear vision, and the fish possess wisdom. They aren't trapped by societal status or debt. They represent a brief, hopeful glimpse of what it looks like to break the mold and actually see the world clearly. Which brings us to a final, really provocative question to wrap things up today. Are you just gliding in the status, or are you ready to break free from the herd? Oluyomi Oladavid has masterfully shown us how easy it is to just get utterly lost in the crowd, mindlessly acting out the script society handed us. So the ultimate takeaway from this explainer is to question your own role. Are you truly living with a clear vision, or are you just playing your part on the bandwagon? Take a moment today to think about your own intervening variables and what it might actually take to step out of the crowd. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible work, and I will leave you with that thought to ponder.